Okay, now we are joined by Japanese game enthusiast Caleb Lawson.
Oh, is that my title now?
Yes.
Okay.
I have deemed it so to talk about a Japanese game, a troubled Japanese game called The Last Guardian. Obviously, The Last Guardian was announced back in 2009, has been delayed several times. It's had some problems, and then today we learned that its trademark has apparently been abandoned. We saw this news on website Trademarkia, which Mitch doesn't think is a real thing.
Cannot possibly be a real thing.
It's the planet where trademarks come from.
Yeah. The listing says on Monday, August 6th, 2012, that was this week.
It was Monday.
Yep, Monday.
Status on The Last Guardian trademark changed to abandoned, no statement of use filed. First of all, what does this mean?
It means that someone should go buy it right now.
Yeah,
Go buy it.
It's like $159.
Go buy it and release The Last Guardian yourself.
Yep.
To be fair, I think it says you can apply, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I think we don't know what it means. I mean, this could be like, oh, we gave up on this project, but I feel like that's probably not the case because that, we've heard from Shuhei Yoshida, we've heard from so many Sony executives that it is still in development, but it's not good. I mean, I think you were saying from some cursory research, it seems like this at least indicates it won't be coming out before 2013.
Yeah, I mean, like, none of us are trademark law experts, so,
Well, Mitch
Oh,
is.
Mitch, that's why we brought Mitch on today.
But Canadian trademark law is different from
That's
US
true,
trademark law.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure. But just from, 5 minutes of a little bit of research and digging in a bit.
What were your findings?
So apparently that a company can file an extension on their trademark for up to 3 years. And this is actually all according to Twitter user Superannuation, who's kind of an internet sleuth.
A Kotaku columnist also.
Yeah, apparently the notice of allowance for The Last Guardian was issued in January 2010, meaning that 3 years would be up in January 2013. And a company can hold the trademark and extend it for that period of time as long as they're able to provide an example of commercial use, which means that if the game wasn't going to come out before January 2013, then there was no point in continuing to try to extend it, I guess is what I was able to figure out.
Can they still renew it?
So they can I guess,
They could
buy it
probably
again.
apply.
They can reapply for it.
Okay.
So I guess it's either, it's lapsed and maybe they just need to reapply.
So is it possible that this just indicates that Last Guardian is not coming out in the US, or that the name is changed?
It could be
another
any of those
possibility.
Maybe,
things.
yeah.
I
Name
think-
change is one big possibility, right?
Yeah.
But the immediate signal is like, oh, this game is dead. Like, this game is not happening now. Because it's been troubled for some
That's
time.
the worst case scenario.
How
Also-
likely do you guys think a name change would be?
I can't imagine at this point. Or maybe, unless that game was basically canceled and then started over and it has become something totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, someone on NeoGAF pointed out this could also be an indicator that the original trademark, which was for a PlayStation 3 game, maybe is no longer the case. Maybe this is Vita, maybe this is next gen. I mean, it depends on how specific the trademark got.
I mean, no one's seen that game for years. I remember
Like 2 years.
Ryan Clement saw
Yeah,
it
I
in
feel like it was like
Japan
2000,
2
early
years ago.
2010.
Was that TGS 2010?
Yeah.
Or was he?
No, I think he
flat?
just went.
It was-
there
yeah,
to
that
see
was
the
like 2
game.
years ago.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't at TGS 2011. It wasn't
Right.
at E3 2011. It wasn't at
It wasn't E3 this
E3
year.
2012. Yeah.
Gameplay has never been shown publicly. It's just been trailers.
Just
Yeah.
here's a dog, cat, flying
yeah.
rabbit thing, and a
Yeah.
kid.
Well, so people were excited about it because of the developer's pedigree, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guys made Eco, which you just said is your favorite game of all
Yeah,
time.
I will go on record saying Eco is absolutely my favorite game of all time.
I've actually never played Eco, but I played Shadow of the Colossus.
Same here, yeah.
Of course. And that's, probably one of the 10 greatest games that's ever been made, one of the games that should be in every gamer's library.
Yeah, I
so-
think both those games are just super, super personal, and people have really personal reactions to them, which is sort of why Eco is my favorite game of all time, because of the personal reaction I had to it. I think a lot of people, they'll sit down to play it after hearing me say this, and they'll be like, oh, it's 4 to 6 hours long, and you're just a little boy escorting a girl. But there's Team Eco in both of those games really did, I think, strike a chord with gamers, a real interesting emotional chord that a lot of times games aren't able to hit.
And those games are both available in the HD collection
Yep.
on
Yes.
the PlayStation 3, so
And they
they're
look-
easy to play now.
That come
And they
out
look
this year.
awesome in
Yeah,
HD.
buy that thing. It's awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know, at this point, if it's still in development, do you think it should be like a PlayStation 4 game?
Sure.
I mean,
Why not?
I feel like it probably can't look good if it's been in development since 2009 and then they suddenly expect it to be on next gen. It's like it probably hasn't been developed at that resolution.
Eco was a PS1 game. Eco came out on the PS2. I think the resolution was 320 by 240.
Oh my God.
God.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it was in development for PS1.
I mean, that would make a really amazing launch title. If we assume it's the same game that we all expect it's going to be, where you're that kid and the animal, and you have your wacky wild castle adventures. Like, we all kind of want that, and to have that as a next-gen launch title would be awesome.
It sounds like an iOS game, Wacky Wild Castle.
I'm sure
I want to take it to the bank.
you were just talking about Rule 34. I think there's another rule where like if you can put any combination of words together and there's an iPhone game.
Yeah.
That's that like Crazy Farmer Ninjas has got to be.
Oh my God, I would play that.
Yeah, I
It's
would
got to
play
be
it.
an iPhone game, right?
Also, just to clarify, I was talking about Rule 34 as a joke, not as any kind of enthusiast
Now
or
everyone's
expert.
Googling like The Last Guardian and Rule 34.
Yeah,
Oh,
It's-
God.
It's all over.
I'm sure
No.
that yeah.
If that doesn't exist, Eco surely does.
Well, speaking of another game that has its problems, maybe not as dire problems, but BioShock Infinite also
Yeah.
is.
You said dire, and I got excited. That's me.
Dire problem.
Sorry, continue.
That's funny. Did you know? You ever heard the phrase "everyone has the same favorite word"?
Really?
Their own name. I've heard that before.
Deep.
Anyway, BioShock Infinite. It was supposed to come out this October, and then
Yes.
was delayed until next year. Wasn't shown at E3. It's not going to be shown next week at Gamescom.
No.
So that didn't sound great because we still haven't seen much of that game, right?
So we've seen like very like scripted demos. We've
Yeah.
seen things that are like very clearly being manipulated in a certain way, like hitting scripted moments. And we watched hands-off demos at. I watched one at E3 2011. I think there was one at Gamescom last year also. But yeah, it's like it looks great. It looks really interesting and ambitious. But we've never been able to play it, and we've never really seen moments of it that seem like it would be a normal game
Right.
to sit down and play and manipulate yourself.
When they delayed it, I mean, they pretty much said that they weren't going to show it at any of the trade shows.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. They said, there's a quote from Ken Levine. He was like, when the next time people see it, we want to be like the product that will be in the box when we ship it.
Yeah, so the fact that it's not at Gamescom isn't really that big of a deal.
Sure.
But
I mean, it was also, what, like a 5-month delay?
It was originally debuted at Gamescom. Or like we first saw.
Yeah.
First saw at Gamescom two
years ago.
years ago.
Yeah.
But now, yesterday we found out that 2 of the developers have left Irrational Games.
Yep.
And they were pretty important people. It seemed
Yeah.
like the director of product development and then the art director both left the project like before it's done. So that doesn't sound good.
I mean, so as Mitch pointed out, the art director leaving, I think, is maybe less of a big deal because the art may be mostly done. You know, it's been in development for a long time. Maybe that was just somebody to move on.
Right.
Although they did replace him.
Sure, with the
They
guy who
replaced
is.
him with the art director from BioShock,
BioShock
1.
1.
Yes.
So Ken Levine tweeted about this. He said, Scott Sinclair, art director of BioShock 1, is back in the art director's chair for Infinite to bring it home. So that's, I mean,
So it does sound like there's still work to be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I think the bigger problem is the other gentleman, Gerritsen, I think his last name is.
Tim Gerritsen.
Yeah, so he was like the director of day-to-day operations. He was basically there, like making sure people were doing what
He
they were
oversaw the product development division of the company, directly managed the content creators for BioShock Infinite.
doing. Wow, so that's somebody.
That's a high up role.
Especially while they're in crunch trying to hit a release date. Like it's not good for that person to step away. I would assume.
have they filled that position yet?
They haven't
did
publicly
not
said.
publicly?
Yeah.
I mean, you would assume Ken Levine is just there
Is doing
supervising
that,
in a
right,
more
yeah,
hands-on
absolutely.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Andrew, you're a BioShock superfan.
I am.
Where do you stand today on BioShock Infinite?
Like on what I think of it, or if I think it will come out.
All of that.
I'm still really excited about it. I think it seems
Think it'll
incredibly
deliver?
ambitious
You think
and
it'll
really cool.
deliver?
I hope it can. I mean, I don't know. I will admit that it does make me nervous that we haven't seen it and played it. You know, because it's been for so long in development. Like, I don't know. I have faith that it will come out someday. I'm not positive that it will come out on February 26th.
God, it looks cool though.
Doesn't it? I know. So good.
Before we run to lunch, we have an email here from Luke Slade. He says, the other day you were talking about WizOrb for iOS. I noticed it was a PlayStation Mini. I don't have an iPhone or iPad. I assume it is the same game. Would you recommend it, or does it need to be played on a touchscreen? No, Luke, WizOrb is great on whichever platform. It's also on Steam if you want to play it on PC. This is the awesome 8-bit Arkanoid style game with RPG elements. So whatever platform works best for you, play it as a PlayStation Mini. That game is great.